John Fredericks, America's Godzilla of Truth. He's popular and proficient in picking politics with prophetic precision. And now J. Fred's picking sports. Are y'all ready for this? All across the airwaves and streams of the John Fredericks Media Network, John, Jack, and Nate, three guys that are pretty wise when it comes to picking winners. Football, basketball, baseball, soccer, golf, UFC battles, you name it. When the game is on your mind and money's on the line, Godzilla Wins is your guide to picking winners. Before you make that play, hear what J. Fred has to say. Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network.
Oh yeah, for entertainment purposes only.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Godzilla Wins Saturday Pick Show here on August 7th. It's a lovely fall morning now. Feels like fall anyway. In Mississippi, I'm joined, as always, with the Godzilla of Truth, my father, John Fredericks, and senior editor of GodzillaWins.com, Nate Perry, and, of course, our senior contributor for really all things sports, soccer, college football, college basketball, NFL, pretty much does it all. That's going to be Dan Angel. You can find Dan Angel on Twitter at DanAngel11 or on Instagram at Dan.Angel11. We have an absolutely packed show for you today. First hour, of course, as always, we're talking college football. We're going to sprinkle a little MLB baseball in there as well. Playoffs are starting tonight. We're all pumped up about that. We know my father is a huge baseball advocate, John Fredericks. And then the top of the hour, which will be 9 p.m. Eastern time, we're talking NFL Week 5. Going to hit you with all the lines and pick every game against the spread. That's what we do on this show. That's our vision here. We do a little bit of college. We pick as many games as we can. Can't do all those. Then we hit the NFL, do every single game, pick against the spread, and get you ready for Sunday. If you're interested in any sports analysis, go to GodzillaWins.com. That's GodzillaWins.com. Find all of our sports analysis there. We got a lot of stuff going on right now. We got a lot of college stuff as well. So we do pretty much a ton of college, bunch of NFL. We had like 3 picks up for the Thursday night game. We got a lot of Bears contingents out there. So we did a lot of that. We've got Steelers coverage as well, Ravens coverage. Nate does the Cowboys. We do all sorts of stuff. We always have the Monday night game as well. So you can go to GodzillaWins.com. That's GodzillaWins.com for all of your sports coverage. GodzillaWins.com and all its subsidiaries are for entertainment purposes only. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, Nebraska, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Call 800-327-5050. Visit gamblinghelpline-ma.org. In Massachusetts, call 877-G-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369 in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-4522-4700 in Kansas, New Hampshire, 888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org in Connecticut, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, or visit opgr.org in Oregon. Okay. I'm ready to introduce our guests and start the show here. Dad, before we do that, we have what I would consider the best promo code in the history of promo codes for DraftKings. Tell us a little bit about how anyone who is interested in taking advantage of that promo code can do so at DraftKings.
Go to the DraftKings app right now. All you have to do is go to DraftKings.com, download their free app. This is really the best app. I mean, there's a lot of them out there, but I do DraftKings because it's the easiest. It's the most fun. And the thing is, right now, if you're not in the DraftKings family, you can sign up with their app. You can put in promo code Godzilla. You can bet $5. $5, come on, man. I mean, you can't get a cup of coffee at Dunkin' Donuts and a donut. It's going to cost you $7. You get $5. You can put that in your account. You're going to get $200 instantly in free bets, which means all weekend you can bet on their money, no risk whatsoever. Plus, they got all kinds of bonuses going on. They got free bets beyond that. They've got no sweat bets where you can bet a team, and if they lose, you get a bonus bet back. There's all kinds of things there. Check this out. All you have to do is go to DraftKings.com, download the DraftKings app, put in promo code Godzilla. That's the key. Promo code Godzilla. $5. You're going to get $200 of free bets instantly. If you have a gambling problem, just call the Gambling Problem Helpline at 888-532-3500. It's for entertainment purposes only. $5 get you 200 in free bets. Do it now.
You got to love that no sweat bet option.
I love that no sweat bet. You know,
Yeah.
I bet every bonus. Like when you log in after you're a member, right? I bet every bonus because why not? It's like 50% bonus, 25% bonus, no sweat bonus, double parlay bonus. I bet them all. You know, and you don't have to bet a lot, $5 or $10 or $15, but they're a lot of fun, and the bonuses are really, really neat. And that's right now, except for the Astros, that's like all I do. So I do all the bonuses. It's fun.
You mean so? Except for the Astros, all you do is gamble? Okay, well that's good. I mean, look, I think that knowing some of the way in which you pick some of these games, I think the no sweat bets are absolutely a necessity. Get a couple extra games in there so you're not.
Yeah, you guys are jealous. I've been ahead in college football. I'm going to wipe your all's butt again today, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, let's talk baseball first because we got Dan here as well, who writes for a lot of baseball coverage for us and follows it pretty closely. Then, of course, Nate's always locked into all sports out there in Nevada. So what we want to do, and we can take a little bit of time, it doesn't have to be 5 minutes, and we can do 10 if we want to, is we just kind of want to preview for folks the playoffs and pick some division winners. So what we'll do is, I mean, we're going to go pretty quickly because I don't want to spend 20 minutes on baseball, but we'll go through every series. We'll give Dad and Dan a little bit of time to talk about them, and then we'll move on to college football. So we're going to save the Astros for the end, so Dad doesn't get all hot and bothered early on here. Let's start with the Braves at Phillies. I'm going to start with Dan here. Dan, Braves are minus 175 to win this series. Phillies plus 145. I mean, if I'm the Braves, I guess I'm a little worried. I mean, they won 104 games, but they got bounced by the Phillies last year. Hard to play up there in Philadelphia, and maybe not the greatest matchup for them, but I don't know. Maybe you see it differently.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, this Phillies team has basically been built for October. This team is not afraid of Atlanta, and Atlanta's pitching is a little bit suspect because beyond Strider, the injuries saw him piling up a little bit. So it's not really certain what's going to come out of Atlanta's rotation. So I think Philadelphia could pull this upset off. I think Philadelphia in 4 or 5 looks like a really solid value play.
And Dad, I mean, we were talking about this last night on the phone. Philly, like Dan said, Philadelphia is just not afraid of Atlanta. I mean, this is not a great matchup for them just psychologically. The big bad Braves, the Phillies just don't care. And they went to the World Series last year. Not like they don't have experience. Do you like the Phillies at plus 145?
I bet the Phillies at 145. This is the absolute nightmare matchup for the Atlanta Braves. They win 104 games. They got all the hype. Acuna's got, 1 million stolen bases. Chapman's got 55 homers. They got this, they got that. And now they got to play Philadelphia in a short series. If this was a 7-game series, I like Atlanta. 5 games, you got to beat Nola. You got to beat Zach Wheeler. These are 2 right now, the hottest starters in the major leagues. And you got to try to win a game in Philadelphia. If the Phillies win 1 game in Atlanta, Atlanta's in big trouble. All they got to do is go there and steal one. But what Dan said is right. There's no fear here in this team. They don't give a rat's tail about Atlanta. They know they're going to go in there and beat them. This is the Braves' worst nightmare matchup in the first round. I love the Phillies here. I think they win this thing in 4 games.
So let's stay in the National League then. The Dodgers D-backs. Now, this is the big favorite here. Dodgers minus 215. They're always in the playoffs, just like the Astros. Diamondbacks, big upset there. The 6th seed sneaking in at plus 180. So, Dan, we'll start with you again. Do the D-backs have a chance, or is this one of those? Is this just chalk?
I mean, of course, the team has a chance, but I just don't see it happening. I mean, Arizona just does not hit the ball well enough to really threaten the Dodgers. I mean, LA, the pitching is a bit of a weakness compared to past years with this Dodger team, but Arizona just does not have that kind of power that a team really needs to take out the Dodgers in a shorter series. I really don't like the Dodgers' chances moving on in the NLCS against either Atlanta or Philadelphia, but in this series, I think LA will be fine.
Dad, hard to pick the Dodgers in the NLCS considering they never can seem to get over the hump there. One of the things that they tend to do every year in the playoffs is they tend to struggle in the divisional round against an inferior team. Are the D-backs that team, or is this just chalk? I mean, it feels like chalk to me.
Chalk, and I want to ask Nate his view here, but this is just chalk. I mean, you look at the line today. Arizona's got to go up there, beat Crenshaw. I mean, the Dodgers have owned them this season. They won the division by 18 games or something. I just don't see the D-backs going there, winning the game in Dodgers Stadium and winning this series. So I like the Dodgers. It's tough to lay $175 or $180, whatever it is.
215 now.
How much is it? 215.
215.
Yeah, I mean it's tough to lay 2-1, but they're a superior team. And I'm with Dan here. The Diamondbacks really don't hit that much. It's just, you look at the Milwaukee series and you got to laugh your ass off because Milwaukee's got to be the most underperforming team in playoffs in history. Greg Council's got to go. He blew that first game, wasted his entire relief staff, all his high leverage relievers in a game they were not going to win. The guy's got to go. So I like the Dodgers.
Yeah, Nate, you love Dodgers fans. You going to go with the minus 215 so you can sling a bunch of drinks to Dodgers fans all October?
Yeah, I mean, this is a rare chance for me to lay the big money. I actually did bet the series, and I did bet the Dodgers here. So I think it's chalk too, for a lot of the reasons that sort of Dan and John already laid out. I just don't think that Arizona has the firepower to keep up with the Dodgers. The Dodgers are a legitimately great team, and the Diamondbacks are good and fun, but not on the same level yet.
Yeah, not a serious contender. I don't think any of us agree, but you never know. That's the problem about baseball. It's just a weird sport when you get into the playoffs. Let's go to the American League here. We got to get to college football pretty soon, but this one, probably the closest, at least Vegas thinks it's the most evenly matched. That's the Orioles. Minus 115 to win this series against the Rangers. Rangers kind of imploded, not really imploded, but a little bit. They imploded at the end of the season and lost their hold on the division. So now they're playing Baltimore as the wild card spot while the Astros took hold of the division on Sunday, right before the season ended. Dan, is this a situation where the Rangers can kind of redeem themselves? I mean, the O's have looked good all year. They're coming out of that really impressive AL East. Do you like the O's at minus 115?
Yeah, it's some consistency versus some inconsistency because Texas has just yo-yoed back and forth between looking like a world beater and looking like something close to the Athletics, whereas Baltimore has been outstanding all season long. And it's tough because you just don't know how Baltimore's young stars are going to perform in their first taste of postseason action. So I think the fact that Texas had to burn through a couple pitchers in that Rays series will help the Orioles here. I'm going to go with the Orioles in 5, but this is one that really does feel like a coin flip.
Yeah, I think it's going to 5 regardless. But, Dad, you hate the Rangers, so here's your opportunity.
Well, look, I want the Rangers to win because I'd rather play the Rangers if I'm the Astros than the Orioles. But I'm not afraid of either one of these teams. You just look at the Rangers' inconsistency. I mean, those 2 games they won in Tampa Bay. Here's a team with the worst pitching of any team that's over 500. Forget the playoffs. They blew more saves than they had saves. They've got basically one starter, Evaldi, who has lost 2 miles off his fastball and had a 9.3 ERA going into the Tampa series, and he shuts them out for 7 innings. And the Rays score 1 run or 2 runs in 1 run in 2 games in front of 19,000 people. I mean, forget. Oh, by the way, Dan, I guess this dispels the rumor that Kevin Cash invented baseball when he gets bounced like that. So screw him, screw the Rays. Look, you got to go with this Orioles team. They're young. Where I think that the 5-game series is a nightmare for Atlanta, I think it's the best thing that could happen to the Orioles here is getting in a short series, getting a couple of wins, going to Texas, maybe closing this thing out. They have the pitching to do that, so I'm going to go with the Birds. The price here, I mean, I just bet them on DraftKings, it was minus 110 for the series. I mean, they got 3 games at home.
Yeah.
They got a superior team. They get no respect here.
Yeah, Nate, it's kind of frustrating that the Rangers can't even just get like plus 110 as a wild card team. I mean, I know they're both evenly matched, but it would have been nice to get a little plus money.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and again, I just kind of agree with. I mean, Dan and John. I think that the Orioles are the better team. I mean, I've thought about it a lot, and it feels like so much of when I watch postseason baseball, I have all the numbers and I look at stuff and I read a bunch of smart people, and then it's really just the hot team versus a not hot team, and it's like you can almost just feel it. And the Orioles just feel like a team that is confident and ready to roll, and the Rangers just don't look like that team to me. So I think it's the Orioles as well.
Yeah. I think you guys are probably right, but we'll see. Okay, let's go Astros Twins here. We'll start with Dad. As always, he's fired up for this series. Number one Astros fan. Twinkies have a difficult time in the playoffs. They've been bounced a bunch by the Astros, kind of one of their nemesis. Got Carlos Correa on the other side trying to play the heroics.
Ooh,
and you got Justin
we're
Verlander
really
in the
afraid
big
of Carlos Correa. Let's see, $35 million a season to hit 227. Well, when he hits like 6th in the lineup, well, we're really afraid. You know what? Screw the Twinkies. I don't even have to get into this series. Okay, we got our 3 best pitchers going. The most miraculous thing that happened to Houston. Everybody was burnt. All the relievers were tired. They back into the division playoffs by sweeping Arizona, being Seattle 2 out of 3. They get there. They get 5 days rest. Everybody's back. Now, this bullpen, this is a better bullpen than we had last year. You got Stanek, you got Abreu, you got this year they've got Neris has been lights out. Presley's been awesome. Abreu has been awesome. Phil Mehta has been awesome. Now they got Graveman. If they get a lead in the fifth or 6th inning, this game's over. I love the Astros here. I don't think the Twinkies win a game.
Yeah, look, minus 160, kind of a high price. Dan, you willing to take plus 135 on the Twins?
Twins strike out far too often. And I don't think that Houston really allows Minnesota to put the ball in play much at all this series. So I think maybe Minnesota steals 1 game, but that's about it.
Nate, I tend to agree with Dan here. I just, I think Astros probably sweep. I mean, it's just the Twins, man. I mean, they just suck. Like, I hate to be that guy, but they suck. I mean, every time they get in the playoffs, they just do something stupid. And I don't know. I mean, I can't see the Twins winning this series.
I actually can. So I bet on the Twins in the wild card series, and then I bet on the Twins in this series, and then I bet on the Twins in the AL.
So
cut his. Yeah, I mean, I can see.
Can we cut his camera off?
Well, hold on. No.
How can you go against your team again? All you do is bet against your teams. Like you got some kind of a thing going on there.
Yeah, look, Dad. Let's. This is a sports show. We might as well let the other perspective talk.
My God.
Tell us why.
I mean, it came down to a little bit of like what you said, which is I think that, everyone's down on the Twins because they've historically sucked in the playoffs. The other part is that I think that they're finally healthy and that we haven't really seen a healthy Twins team for a lot of the season. And it looks like they've kind of found their best lineup as they head into the postseason. And in particular, I think it's because I think that they match up well against the Astros. The Astros don't have much left-handed pitching to throw at all their left-handed power hitters. And I think that's going to be a problem. So that's sort of where I'm at with it. So I'll take plus money everywhere.
Yeah. Good luck with that. I don't think it's going to pan out for you, but I knew at some point you would zag where everybody else was zigging. And I just didn't think it was the Twins, but look, I understand. I just don't see how, like, if there's a team that I just want to roll the dice with, I think it's got to be the Phillies. That's a team.
I roll the dice with the Phillies.
They're hot. Okay, so you're just trying to make a little plus money.
Okay,
That's
well, number one,
you just found the
I'm going to tell Ann to cut you out of the family will. Number two, don't think I'm going to be sending you any of my barbecue sauce anytime soon. So I'm not doing that either. So you're out of the will, and you get no BBQ sauce, and you get no REM sleep, and so you're on your own. You want to go against us? I can't believe that you're out. No barbecue sauce for you.
What are the assets in the will? Yeah, like what's in the will? Like you don't. I mean, like a car. Like what is he getting?
Oh, the Saturn.
A
His
lawnmower?
tie collection.
Yeah, the Saturn. The Saturn you dumped on my lawn, so
Is it still there?
that's gone too.
Is it still there?
You know, yeah. No, it's not still there. Thank God. But it was there for 2 years, and then it rusted out the starter. I couldn't get it started, so that was great. Okay, so before we move on to college, we went long. I knew that was going to happen. I don't even know why I say things like "let's spend 10 minutes on this" when I know it's going to go long. But that's okay. Hey, look, we're all excited for baseball. So before we do that, Dad, I know you're up early in the morning every day. You get more than 4.5 hours of sleep, and one of the reasons is because of REM sleep. Tell us how people can get involved with healthy self. They want some better sleep.
You want to feel better, you got to get sleep. And like Joe's home this weekend. He's asleep now, so I don't want to wake him up, but he takes REM sleep and takes it. Here it is, a little packet. What we're going to do is go to healthycell.com/Godzilla. And this is going to give you the best night's sleep you've ever had. And it's not like, it takes 2 weeks or it takes a month or it takes 2 days. You take it 15 minutes or 20 minutes before you go into bed. You're going to fall asleep, you're going to stay asleep, because it supports naturally all 4 stages of how you sleep. And this is really a life changer for you. Healthycell.com/Godzilla. Promo code Godzilla. You're going to have 20% off, right? Get your REM sleep. Thank me later when you feel better. You're going to jump out of bed. And you're going to, now, this is the only downside to this. You're going to dream deep dreams like crazy. Sometimes you remember them, sometimes you don't. But this will make you dream. And of course, dreaming gets you into that deep sleep that your body needs to replenish all of its cells. So you're going to dream, but it's worth it. Go to REM sleep. Go to healthycell.com/Godzilla. REM sleep, 20% off. Boom, you're good to go.
John Fredericks, a man afraid of his own subconscious, does not like to
No, I
dream.
don't.
Okay, let's move on to some college football then. And I there are a lot of games I think I want to get to, but let's skip Maryland at Ohio State. I mean, it's a big spread. Ohio State's it's not. I mean, we got to skip a couple. So that's one that we'll just kind of table for later. Let's go to LSU at Missouri. And Dan, I really want to talk about this game because I'm kind of shocked that LSU is -5.5. Missouri's like a good football team, and I'm not convinced LSU is good at all. The fact that they lost to Ole Miss solidifies my feeling that they suck. So is this like the right spread? Do you like LSU here at -5.5, or can Missouri cover?
I mean, Jack, while you were talking, Mississippi just scored again, I think.
Yeah, that's about right, huh?
I mean, that was just ridiculous last week, how neither team could stop anything. And I think, once again, I've got to be on the over involving LSU because I don't think either side is going to be stopping the other. Missouri's defense hasn't really looked the greatest, and I think people are a little bit skittish on the Tigers because of the weak schedule they've played. I mean, you look at who Missouri's gone up against. They faced South Dakota, Vanderbilt, Middle Tennessee, Memphis. So they've almost won the Tennessee State Championship, so good for them. And then Kansas State is the other one, but the bloom's off the rose there because K-State just got whacked by Oklahoma State last night. So I'm a little reluctant to trust either team, but if I had to make a choice on the spread, I'd go with LSU here because I'm just not sold on Missouri against a good team. But I think the over is the best play.
Wait, isn't Mizzou your alma mater, Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah. We got to get off this. I have been
open from the beginning about how I actively root against my alma mater.
You're as bad as my son.
Yeah, well, we like to make money. You know what I mean?
Has your son ever dealt with the Missouri Media Relations Department?
No, thank God. I have not. Look, Dad, we'll go to you. I mean, I don't know. I tend to trust Dan here on Missouri. I mean, if he's anything like me, then he watches every Missouri game in an absolute blind. You don't?
No,
okay, so you don't. I was thinking maybe you watched every game in a blind rage.
Only when they play Georgia, because I can count on the Bulldogs to make it nasty usually.
Oh my God! Every time Missouri is like a mental block for Georgia. It doesn't matter how bad Missouri is. Yeah. The first half they're going to be up by like 2. It's going to be like 9-7. in that game. So that game is fun. So what do you think, Dad? You like LSU
First of all,
here?
I'm going to say I'm just convinced here. Watching you guys, all you millennial guys have got like major problems. You really do. This is why the baby boomers still control. You guys got all kinds of problems with teams and watching games and stuff. You know, and then your turncoat for Minnesota. You guys got some issues, man. I got to tell you. As for me, I love
Big
the
talk
Tigers.
from a
That's the
guy
who
afraid
like-
of dreams.
Yeah.
I've rooted against Missouri for years. I've been consistent.
You guys really need some therapy. But that's why you come on the show, just so I can help you, right? As a father figure here. I love the Tigers in this game. Honestly,
It's the Tigers versus the
Which
Tigers.
Tiger?
John. Of course, you
Yeah,
love
I
Missouri
love the
Tigers.
Tigers. Me too.
Missouri.
I love the
Tigers
Tigers
gonna win
in this game. When I saw the spread, I had to put my glasses on because I thought I was going to have to lay 5.5, right? And I'm like, that's a lot for Missouri. I had to put my glasses on. It's like, I'm getting 5.5 in this game. Okay, I just couldn't believe it. First of all, they got the 6th ranked passing offense. Here's my question. Mizzou Tigers, why not? Right? Why not? Ole Miss dumped a 55 spot on LSU and got 706 yards. How do you get 706 yards in a college game with no clock, with no stoppage on first downs? How do you even do that? Missouri's averaging 32 points, 430 yards. And a lot of people are betting the over here. I love I love Missouri plus 5.5. I think they're going to win the game.
Yeah. So, Nate, what do you think? I mean, probably LSU is the right play here.
I agree with John. I think Missouri. This game just feels like a shootout. I think that Missouri's offensive or defensive numbers are probably, a little bit inflated because of the weak schedule. I think that LSU's defensive numbers are as bad as they look. 110th in coverage per PFF, 109th in tackling. That's bad. So they're not going to stop Missouri. I don't think, Missouri can get a zillion stops against LSU. It feels like a shootout, and when there's a shootout, I'm usually more inclined to take the underdog. So I like Missouri as well.
Yeah. I like LSU. I'm with Dan here. One of the reasons is I think they probably bounce back from a tough loss in Oxford and smoke Mizzou. I've seen Mizzou crumble in these spots a lot. I think this game's probably a 2-touchdown win for LSU, but we'll see. Okay, let's go. This is going to be a weird one, but I put this on the schedule. This is going to be Texas State at Louisiana Lafayette. Texas State is, I think, a +2 dog here. And the reason I put this on the schedule is I want Dan to talk to our audience a little bit about the models that he builds to handicap some of these games, because I know, Dan, earlier in the week you had a big model hit. Your model had the wrong team favored, basically, or the team that was the favorite was the dog. And I think that's also the case here at Texas State. So just take a minute or two, just kind of tell our audience how you build these models and why they can be so lucrative when the model gives you something that Vegas doesn't.
Yeah, so this is something that actually started back in high school because the guy who created the formula used it to rank Virginia high school teams. And when I went out to Idaho to start my journalism career, I realized, I can do the same thing to really get a handle on how each team in the state looks. And then a couple years later, when I was out of journalism, I had this formula that had proven it could do the job very well in a couple of states. So it's like, okay, let's try this with college teams and see how effective it is. And I found that it picks the winner roughly about 80% of the time, hits on the spread probably around 55% of the time. So I've since updated the model each week with every game involving at least one FBS or FCS team. So it tracks every Division I team now and does a pretty good job of it. So the game earlier in the week was Jacksonville State against Middle Tennessee. The books had Middle Tennessee giving 3, and the model said that Jacksonville State should have been giving 13, and Jacksonville State goes and wins by 15. So that was a pretty easy cash for me.
Does the model tend to find those what we would call like standard deviations from the mean? Does it catch those more for FCS and some of the games that are a little bit lower on the totem pole, like Texas State and Louisiana, because the
Yeah.
lines aren't as sharp? Or do you ever?
Yeah.
That's a good
What I found is that the sports books are going to dedicate most of their time, man hours, to getting the lines right on the biggest games. They're not going to focus anywhere near as much on the lower level games and the FCS games, not much at all. So that's where the model has really done its best work against the spread. Like last year, I had a 7-game parlay that was off nothing but the model's picks on FCS games and cashed that
Yeah, that's right.
$10 for $474.
Yeah. So yeah, and Dan is one of those writers that we have who builds models. Nate, you tend to gravitate towards some of those lower tier games as well. Your model is just more your how you feel at the time. I don't think you're building any models in Excel.
That's correct.
But in a radio show, it can be hard to be like, oh, let's talk about all these small teams because people don't want to listen to them. They want to know what we think of Oklahoma. But it can be useful to talk about some of these teams. So let's talk about Texas State at Louisiana Lafayette. Dan, what did your model see, and why is this a good bet for people?
So the models really like Texas State since that opening win over Baylor, and it's really liked how Texas State just puts up a ton of points and puts a good distance between its opponents. One of the things that the model really rewards is beating the spread that it has by more than is expected, and all of Texas State's 4 wins have come by double digits. So some of them haven't been against the greatest competition, but when you're consistently winning games by 10 points or more, that tends to get the model's attention. And Louisiana has fallen a little bit because this year's team is just not as good as past teams. They've had a couple stumbles. Losing to Old Dominion was a bit of a red flag for the model, and beating Buffalo by only 7, same thing. So it's pretty high on Texas State right now. So that could be a spot where this is a good opportunity for Texas State on the money line.
Nate, you like to live in these games sometimes. What do you think? You like Texas State?
I mean, no, I don't. I don't think Texas State is a good team. I think that win over Baylor doesn't look as good now as it did in week 1. I think that, they haven't played very many people since. Southern Miss is not a good team. Nevada might be the worst FBS team in the country. And they got down 17-0 to Nevada at one point before Texas State came back. And they played Jackson State that has no roster because Deion Sanders took all of them. So I just don't know who they've played. I get that they're beating teams by a lot, but they're beating among the worst teams that they could possibly play. So I like ULL. They played a tougher schedule. They have more losses, but I think that they're just a more seasoned team, and Texas State just looks weirdly erratic to me.
Dad, you got any thoughts?
I'm going with the Bobcats here. I'm going to take the 2.5. Not because they're 4-1, but because their quarterback TJ Finley played at Auburn, played at LSU. This is an SEC quarterback. I mean, he played against SEC competition. Now you're playing, lower FBS, Raging Cajuns, whatever. So I like them. Also, they've had a really good running game. Finley's 73% completion rate. I don't care who you play. It's still pretty good. And the Bobcats have a really good running game. I love college teams that can run the football when they can get ahead, eat time off the clock. And the thing is, Dan and I have talked about this. I mean, the one wrinkle here in college football this season is you really got to evaluate no stoppage of the clock on first downs. I mean, that is a big deal. When you go to that Georgia game, and I've already taken Kentucky plus 19.5. These big lines are tougher, Dan, when that clock just rolls. It's tougher when a team gets up and they just get a couple first downs, 6 minutes are gone. So I'm going to go with the Bobcats here plus 2.5.
So we'll talk a little Kentucky, Georgia in a minute. Before we do that, though, I got to talk about Beard Vet Coffee. One of the ways that I wake up every morning is with Beard Vet Coffee. They have some of the best coffee in the land. You go to beardvet.com. That's beardvet.com. You navigate to that page where you can buy some coffee from them. You can also buy anything you need for your beard tinctures here. So You know what I do? I go to beardvet.com and I get the whole bean, and I do this about once a week, maybe twice a week. Sometimes I drink a lot of coffee. I like to grind them up myself, and they got a whole bunch of different ones. You know, they got some blueberry flavored coffee. If you like the flavored stuff, I know some people drink that. I tried it out as well. I kind of it's interesting flavor profile. That's the Dress Blues. They got all sorts of flavor profiles. I think they have an espresso grind as well. I've been looking into getting an espresso machine because one thing I need is more caffeine in my life. So why not just start mainlining it with espressos? But you go to beardvet.com. That's beardvet.com. Put in that promo code Godzilla, get 10% off. We love Beardvet, and we love how supportive they've been of our show. So if you like our show and you want to continue to support us, go to beardvet.com and buy a little coffee. Won't cost you much. Get that 10% off, and they ship it to you real quick. So you get it very quickly, and you'll have it for as long as it takes you to get through a bag of coffee there. And they got a whole bean, they got grinds, they got K-cups, anything you need, you can have it. It's the pretty incredible story if you want to read about them too. Beardvet.com. That's beardvet.com. Promo code Godzilla, 10% off. All right. Looks like Dad stepped out for a little bit more Beardvet. I must have reminded him there. So we're going to start with Dan here, Kentucky at UGA. Pretty interested here in how this game plays out. Now, UGA is a 14.5 favorite as of this morning on DraftKings from what I see. The Wildcats, maybe not. I mean, they're ranked. They're a good team. I don't know. Georgia had trouble against Auburn, but it is Auburn, and that is like what Georgia, that's just such a difficult game to handicap. So, Dan, we'll start with you. Is there any value in Kentucky at plus 14.5, or does Georgia just sort of get right and just smash a team for fun?
Yeah, I think there's absolutely value on Kentucky here. I mean, the Wildcats have actually looked pretty decent all season, and something is off with this Georgia team. It seems like they just can't get games started. And they haven't played much of a schedule. When they've played decent SEC competition, they've sleepwalked for 20 minutes before they finally get enough separation. And I don't know. I think Kentucky has played Georgia tough enough in the past to keep this game reasonably close. I think Georgia will still win the game, but something closer to 10 feels right to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge spread. I think Georgia wins this game as well. But Nate, I mean, Dan mentioned something interesting. What's wrong with Georgia? I can tell you from watching Georgia, which I do a lot. I mean, I watch all the SEC games really. I have the only team I really haven't watched is Arkansas, which is fine. I hate Arkansas. But the one thing I'll say about Georgia is I don't think Carson Beck is that good. I mean, that's the first thing. And I think when you get to throw to Brock Bowers, you look good because Brock Bowers looks like a dinosaur. I mean, that's how big he is out there. And he's wide open all the time because some of these defenses they play, they're just not that good. And I also think that Georgia's defense is not as strong as it has been in the past. They struggle to contain the run, which is not something that they've struggled with before. I think the Ole Miss game is actually going to be a really interesting one because I think that Ole Miss is going to be able to run a lot on Georgia. I don't think that this Kentucky team can do the same thing. They have a better secondary, but to me, that's the issue with Georgia is I don't think Carson Beck is as good as people are hoping him to be, and I think that the defense really struggles to stop the run, and so you just get these. It's like in the past, we've just seen Georgia basically stuff everyone, and nobody can score. And then it doesn't matter if they get off to a slow start because they're going to score 30 points at some point. And you can see how well Kirby Smart adjusts the offense, him and Mike Bobo in the second half. But I don't know, Nate. I mean, is Kentucky the bet here? Maybe that first half bet again. You hit on that last week.
Yeah. We talked about Georgia's slow starts last week a little bit too. I kind of want to go. I agree with Dan, first of all. I think that Kentucky's probably the play plus the points. I kind of am more interested a little bit in this total, though, which is 48 and a half now. I'm trying to find it on DraftKings. Somewhere around there, 47 and a half. I kind of like over 47 and a half myself. I think that Kentucky could struggle defensively against Georgia. I don't know. I'm not sold on the defense for Kentucky yet. But I think Kentucky will score against Georgia. I mean, the strength is their rushing attack. Ray Davis is averaging, against Florida, he had 8.3 yards after contact, 280 yards on the ground. I mean, the rushing attack is real and it's dangerous for Kentucky. Florida couldn't do anything to stop them. I think that Georgia will probably likewise struggle a little bit, even though they're a lot better than Florida. So I like Kentucky to hang around. I like the over a little bit more, but I think Kentucky plus the points is also a good bet.
Dad, seems like you took Kentucky. You said you took Kentucky earlier. You're just not high on this Georgia team.
I mean, look, they don't cover, right? I mean, they just don't cover. And I don't
True,
think
yeah.
they're as good as everybody says they are. And I guess everybody expects them to repeat and they have a good defense. But I mean, they really struggle. I mean, that Auburn game was something else. And then you go to some of these other games. I mean, they're not blowing people out the way they were. So look, here's the thing. I say, why not? Well, why not go with Kentucky and take 14 and a half? This is a really good football team. Here's the other thing. If you watch that Auburn game like I did, I bet Georgia in that game lost. If you look at that, what Auburn did, they found rushing lanes in that defense, right? And Dan can attest to this. Auburn ran for 220 yards, right? Kentucky comes in with this Vandy transfer, Ray Davis. I think this guy's pretty good. I think they're going to be able to run the football. And now here's my biggest issue with betting Kentucky. Their quarterback, Devin Leary, throwing 50% completions in 2 games. I mean, that's you got to get benched for that. What I'm betting on here is Kentucky is going to run the football. Georgia's going to have to bring up 7 or 8 top. And then maybe Leary gets a little better and he can step up. This is going to be a very good football game. Kentucky is better than you think. Georgia's not as good as you think. And 14 and a half is just a lot of wood. So I'm going to go with the dog here and take 2 touchdowns and a piece.
Yeah, look, we'll see. I mean, people do overreact with Georgia Auburn. I mean, it's just Auburn gives them trouble. They give Alabama trouble most years. It's especially when you go down to Jordan-Hare. It's a difficult place to play. So, they may come out between the hedges and just smash Kentucky. I mean, it could happen, but I don't think they're as good as they were last year, and I think they're trading on a little bit of that. It's a big spread, so I kind of like Kentucky too. Let's go to another big spread here. Arkansas traveling to Oxford. Had a lot of friends text me, ask if I was going to this game. I told them no, I don't attend Ole Miss games anymore. I will watch them on TV at the Mexican restaurant with all my friends. Yeah, all my friends in Mississippi at the Mexican restaurant who also hate Ole Miss and sit there and drink margaritas and complain about how we have to cheer for this stupid team every week. And so here we are, Arkansas plus 12.5 going to Oxford. Ole Miss with the big win last week. I'm very high on Ole Miss now. Listen, worst time of the year for me in college football is when we lose to Alabama, which happens all the time except for 2 years during the Hugh Freeze era. Best time for me is when we beat LSU. There's nothing sweeter than beating LSU, especially when they have to come to Oxford. They don't like coming to Oxford. LSU fans don't like it. We're very cruel to them, and we're not usually cruel to anybody, but we don't like them, and they don't like us, and we'd like to beat them. So always fun. Now I'm high on Ole Miss. I think they're going to win the SEC West. Let's start with Dan here. What do you think? Can Ole Miss cover? I think Ole Miss wins this game by 40.
I mean, I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit. They're not winning the SEC West because I don't really see Alabama stumbling enough for that to happen. But yeah, I think Ole Miss should be fine here. Arkansas can't stop the pass very well, and obviously, if you can't stop the pass, you're not going to beat Ole Miss. So I think the Rebels will cover the spread here, but I wouldn't buy those tickets to Atlanta just yet.
Listen, Nate, all I need Alabama to do is lose 2 games in the SEC. That seems attainable, I guess. Well, what? Yeah, they got to lose. No, they got to lose a couple. Yeah. Well, anyway, I like them against Arkansas here. What do you think?
This is another SEC game where I just kind of like the total. This is another over for me. I don't think. I mean, I'm almost certain that Arkansas can't slow down Ole Miss. I mean, Jackson Dart is just playing like a legit stud right now. He looks incredible. I don't think he's going to have any problem passing on the Razorbacks secondary, which Dan mentioned is not very good. Likewise, I'm not sure that the Ole Miss sort of defensive line and sort of front seven, I guess, are going to fare awesomely against Arkansas's rushing attack. So I think that it's kind of, both offenses do something that the defenses don't defend well. So I think there will be some points scored for sure. But I mean, it feels like Ole Miss is going to win, but I think it'll be a little bit higher scoring than maybe we're expecting.
Dad, you gotta love Ole Miss here,
Oh
right?
yeah, well, first of all, the reason you don't like the LSU fans is because they all come there, and by 12 o'clock in the Grove, they're all drunk. So that's part number one.
Well, it's not like Ole Miss fans are sober.
But it's a little bit different, right? They're not like drunk where they're falling over and stuff like that and saying vulgarities. So
Well, here's the one thing. I mean, before you get to your point, I will defend LSU fans because I lived in New Orleans and got a lot of friends in Baton Rouge. There is no fan base that can hold their liquor better than the folks in Baton Rouge. So they're not falling all over the place at 12. I mean, in Oxford, like, they can hold their liquor up there too. Ole Miss fans, they really know how to drink. Like, we're all like familiar with bourbon. We've all tasted it. But those LSU fans, man, I mean, they will hold their liquor like they have two wooden legs. It just goes to nowhere. And they sit there and they eat those like weird, like they eat a bunch of rice. They're like eating rice all the time. It's just like jambalaya at noon or like spaghetti or something. Yeah, they're eating etouffee and muffaladas. I mean, I have a lot of friends from the coast. Yeah, I'm telling you, they'd wake up. We'd be in a hotel, down in New Orleans in college. They'd wake up and just be like, "Oh, let me grab a muffalata." They would just travel with muffaladas in like Ziploc bags and eat them at like 6 a.m. So they're an interesting breed down there, and they certainly can hold their liquor. So I definitely don't want to disparage anyone who went to LSU when it comes to that. Down there on the coast, they can really drink. Just ask the late Jimmy Buffett. So go ahead and give us your
Arkansas's lost 3 in a row. They've lost 12 of 13 in the month of October versus ranked teams. They're like 0 for 50 ATS against these teams. They're not a very good football team. Listen, Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin dumped 55 and 700 yards on LSU last week. I mean, who's going to stop them? I've told you this is a better team than meets the eye. They actually have a shot to get in the playoff. And I wouldn't rule them out. They're getting better every week. Jason Dart's a stud. But, so I'm going to look, this game, opened at 11, then it went to 12. Now it's at 12 and a half. I'd lay 15. And here's Dan, the clock here doesn't bother me because all these guys do is throw the football around the field. This kid, Jason Dart, this is looking like an NFL quarterback here. Plus, they're at Ole Miss. Here's what I'm going to hear all day, right? If you put the game on, here's what you're going to hear. You're ready? First down. Ole Miss. You're going to hear that about 25 times. I'm going with the Rebs minus the 12 and a half.
Oh, we all like the Rebs here. Jackson Dart, not Jason Dart. But we all love Dad's name pronunciations there. Jackson Dart.
Yeah, whatever. I got the name wrong.
Ole Miss. So listen, I want to go really quickly. I snuck this game in here because we got the Virginia roots there, Dad. We got Old Dominion traveling down to Hattiesburg to play Southern Miss. I figured, hey, let's throw like an interesting game in here. A little Virginia action. So what do you think, Dad? Old Dominion plus 2.5. Start with you.
Take the 2.5. Okay. Southern Miss is really horrible this season. Like Old Dominion's no great shakes here, but in this league that they play in, everybody's kind of evenly matched. ODU's coming back, and Southern Miss is just normally, I like Southern Miss and Hattiesburg. I like them at home. Old Dominion is just a better football team. This line should really be Old Dominion minus 3, 3.5, or 4. They're a better team. I'm going to go with the Monarchs here and take the 2.5.
Dan, this is where you make your money. What do you think? You like Old Dominion?
Yeah, I do like Old Dominion. John, are you looking at my computer's model here? 3 points is exactly what it's got Old Dominion favored by.
It's just baby boomer instinct, baby.
So
that's that Virginia.
Southern Miss hasn't.
I look. I follow the Virginia teams only out of necessity. We run half of them on our radio network, so you're kind of stuck. You tune the thing in, they're on. So go ahead.
Sure, but yeah, Southern Miss hasn't beaten an FBS team all season, and Old Dominion has actually played some decent teams pretty well. Losing by 6 at Marshall, not bad. Losing by 3 to Wake Forest, decent result for a Sun Belt team. So, yeah, I think the wrong team is favored here, and I like the Monarchs.
All right. What do you think, Nate?
I think we're unanimous. I agree. I think that ODU is a real team, and I look at Southern Miss, and I just see a team that's, like, not right. There's something broken with that team, and ODU looks fine. I mean, like Dan said, covered against Wake. covered against Marshall, win over Louisiana. Yeah, better team.
Yeah, I think we're all unanimous here. We like Old Dominion. It's one of the reasons I threw it on the schedule. Okay, we got about 10 minutes. We got to get to our saucy game of the week here soon, but let's do Notre Dame at Louisville. We'll start here with Dan. Look, Dan, I'm so tired of talking about Notre Dame. I don't enjoy doing this every week, but they're 10th in the country. Playing Louisville, who snuck into the rankings this week, number 25. Notre Dame is -6.5. It's a big old spread for a Louisville team that's looked kind of pretty good this year. What do you think?
Louisville team total under 24. I actually put this up in my weekly predictions on Godzilla wins. Marcus Freeman has seen this attack before because Brian Brom and Jack Plummer were a unit at Purdue 2 years ago. Notre Dame held that Purdue offense to 13 points. And you look at what Louisville has done against better defenses, and it has not been pretty. I mean, most of the Cardinals' good work has come against teams like Georgia Tech, who can't stop a nosebleed. And I don't think that the Cardinals are going to be able to do much of anything against the Notre Dame defense. So I think the Irish really just shut them down, and 24 points seems way too high. So Louisville team total under is my play.
Nate, you got any interest in Louisville here?
I kind of like the over here. I don't know if I agree with Dan thinking that Louisville won't be able to score. I mean, they just haven't shown me that they're not going to be able to score yet. I mean, they've looked good. I mean, the passing attack looks great. The running game looks even better. I think Louisville will get their points. So I kind of like the over here myself, just for the game. But
they had 13 points last week.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the numbers are so good though.
Yeah, because they've done it against Boston College, Murray State, and Georgia Tech.
All right. No.
Yeah.
Dan's probably right.
I mean, yeah, I think I don't think Nate's watched any Louisville. I think that's all I was thinking while he was
staring I'm just staring at numbers on a page, being like, I gotta figure this out.
Yeah, I think if you were like, when does Louisville play? He'd be like, I don't know. The only thing I know about Louisville is the bourbon. So,
yeah.
Here's what I know about Louisville. They have a quarterback by the name of Jack Plummer that after today is going to be on a beer bar and wings trivia scoreboard. He's going to lose to Notre Dame with 3 different teams. So I think about this. He gets beat by Notre Dame with Purdue. And then he goes to Cal. He gets beat by Notre Dame against Cal. The Purdue game he gets benched. Now he's got to face Notre Dame again with Louisville, probably the weakest entrant of the 3 he's got. Marcus Freeman owns this guy on defense. In the 2 games he's quarterbacked against Notre Dame defense, his average passing is 5 yards a game. He's been benched 2 times in both starts. This is an Irish veteran front 7 with a team that's won 30 straight regular season games against the ACC. I mean, and it's only 6.5. How can I bet? I just bet it. I just bet more money on my DraftKings here while you guys were talking, because I'm like, this thing is a joke. This thing is going to be a blowout. You could be Sam Hartman versus this guy, Jack Plummer, that's already gotten beat by them twice. And now he's going for 0-3. He's got something in his head. Notre Dame front 7, Sam Hartman, 30 in a row. Go with the Irish minus a 6.5, big time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just don't like the 6.5. It's too long for me for a Notre Dame team that always seems to disappoint in these types of games. I'd like the team total under that Dan's got for Louisville there. I think that's a better way to win some money. I just, you just worry. You worry about a backdoor cover. You worry about nonsense. You worry about Notre Dame just having a slow start. They often look underwhelming in big games over and over and over again. So that's a lot for me. 3.5. Yeah, take Notre Dame. 6.5. I don't know. Okay, let's go to our saucy game of the week here. Red State Barbecue, brought to you by Red State Barbecue. Saucy game of the week. That's going to be Texas at Oklahoma. Where that game's at Oklahoma?
No, it's in the Cotton Bowl.
Oh, right.
The real Cotton Bowl.
I always forget that. The Red River rivalry.
The real old
the actual Cotton Bowl Stadium.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
it's gonna
actual
be
Cotton
fun.
Bowl.
It's gonna be a fun game.
Yeah, the Red River rivalry. Oklahoma is 12th in the country. Texas riding high at number 3. Looking at a college football playoff, we've got our saucy game of the week brought to you by Red State Barbecue. Here is the Memphis Barbecue Memphis Suite from Red State. Look, I love Red State Barbecue. I love their barbecue sauce. I love their rubs. You can go on to Red State Barbecue, redstatebarbecue.com, and you can click on one of our banners on Godzilla Wins and get there. It is just a really incredible barbecue sauce. Now, what I do with it, I mean, I put it on everything. The thing's half empty. One of the reasons is, I threw in some sweet potatoes in the air fryer the other day, marinated them in the Red State Barbecue, and they turned out terrific. You like chicken, you like pork, anything like that. I think I might make some slow cooked pulled pork later with the sauce as well as soon as the rub comes in. So the prices are right. The taste is incredible. This is our saucy game of the week here. Red State Barbecue Memphis Suite. They have all sorts of different sauces, Alabama, all sorts of different things, and the rubs as well. Godzilla 10. That's the promo code Godzilla 10. So go to Red State Barbecue, put in the promo code Godzilla 10, get a discount there. The barbecue sauce will show up real quick. Just an incredible product there. So let's talk about our saucy game of the week. Red River rivalry, Texas, Oklahoma. We'll start with Dan here. Texas minus 5.5. Dan, this is a Red River rivalry is a tough game to handicap. You just never really know what's going to happen. What do you think?
I mean, usually there's one thing you can count on happening, and that's a ton of points. Because most years, these teams just cannot stop each other. Last year was one of the rare exceptions where the over hasn't cashed, and it's because Oklahoma was down Dylan Gabriel and never scored. So beyond that, it's been just they can't set this total high enough. And I think this is a game where Oklahoma is a much faster starting team than Texas. And I think the Sooners in the first half looks like a really good play. Oklahoma has scored 20 or more in one quarter 3 times this season. They've never trailed after 15 minutes this season. So I think Oklahoma gets the jump on Texas early, and that keeps the Longhorns from covering. So I like Oklahoma plus the 5.5, and I think I'm also going to throw in a Sooners first half money line bet.
All right, a lot of points to be scored.
Oh yeah,
this is a game that you probably hate, being an Oklahoma State fan. I can't imagine you enjoy watching these two teams take the spotlight. But what do you see here?
Yeah, I mean, it only feels good because one of them is going to lose. I kind of like Oklahoma here. I think that it's fair to ask questions about where Oklahoma's sort of like what their strength of schedule has been, especially relative to Texas, who's played a really tough schedule. But I think that, looking at last year's 49-0 result where Texas just totally dismantled Oklahoma is like a little misleading. I think Oklahoma's closed that gap. I sort of agree with Dan. I think that Oklahoma will be able to score against Texas with the passing attack. Likewise, I think Texas will probably be able to score against Oklahoma's secondary as well. This feels a little bit like, kind of just 1-for-1 game. So I think I'll take the underdog here in a game where I'm not sure there'll be that much defense.
Dad, you got about a minute. What do you see?
Red State Barbecue. Joe made chicken last night, came here, mom's away. So I haven't cooked in 30 years, as everybody knows. So Joe had to come and cook dinner, marinated the chicken. We used the same thing. It's amazing. The Memphis Suite, best chicken I've had. I can't tell mom this. Best chicken I've had ever. Joe did it. You got to check this stuff out. RedStateBBQ.com. I love Oklahoma here plus 5.5. I mean, why not? If you look at Texas, here's the problem with them, right? I'll give you one stat because I'm out of time. 11 out of 25 drives inside the red zone in not garbage time, they scored a touchdown. 11 out of 25. That's under 50% non-garbage time inside the red zone. I'm going to take the Sooners here. I think they're plus. I got 5.5. We'll love this game. It'll be a great game. This is the game of the week, maybe. But RedStateBBQ.com. While you're watching the game, get them ribs out. It's good to go. Oklahoma plus 5.5.
We want to thank Dan Angel. As always, you can find him on Twitter, DanAngel11, or Instagram, Dan.Angel11. He's our college football guy. We love having him on. Thanks, Dan. At the top of the hour, we're talking NFL. We're going to handicap all the spreads here. Lots to talk about. James Tillman III is going to join us, as well as Darian Kelly. See you in a minute. Do not go anywhere. NFL next.
You're listening to Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network. For a deeper dive without the jive, visit the website of winners, GodzillaWins.com. Let's get back to the show with the guys in the know, John, Jack, and Nate. It's Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Godzilla Wins Saturday Picks Show. Top of the hour, 9 o'clock Eastern time. We're talking NFL. We're talking all the games. And look, Nate and I are both excited because both of these games, or the NFL, there's a couple buys, so we can go a little bit slower on some of these games here. Lots to talk about, though. A lot of different storylines. We're welcoming James Tillman III. You can find him at TillJam3 on Twitter there. He writes about the Bears for GodzillaWins.com, does a whole bunch of WNBA. When the NBA season starts up, he really turns up the heat on that as well. His analysis is terrific, as always. So you go to GodzillaWins.com, find all his Bears coverage right now, doing a lot of work with the Bears. And listen, one of the things, James, that I know for certain is that Thursday night you slept like a baby. And I know that one of the reasons is because of the Bears win. We'll talk about that in a minute. Another reason is because as everybody with Godzilla Wins, we use MyPillow here. We love MyPillow, and that is one of the best ways to get some sleep. You go to mypillow.com and put in the promo code FUN. That's FU, and you get 80% off. We're talking 80% off, up to 80% off on a lot of products. And listen, they got the best pillows. You buy a pillow, you get that promo code FUN. You throw it in the dryer, it puffs it up real quick, and super comfortable. But you also got the robe. You got the slippers. Love the slippers. We're getting into the fall season, so those slippers really come in handy. Towels. I use mypillow.com's towels constantly. So go to mypillow.com, put in that promo code FUN, 80% off, and you really can get everything you need. Look, Nate, James, before we get into the Jags Bills, that's our first game. We got to talk Bears. James, the Bears won a game. And not only that, a statement win on Thursday Night Football. I mean, before we talk about the Jags, let's just say this. I'll just ask you this question. Does this say more about the Bears? Like, is this the Bears team we were expecting? Or does it just mean that the Commanders suck?
It may be a little bit of both, but I mean it's a statement game from them because it's they put together pretty solid performance on especially on the offensive side of the ball for the second straight week, and Justin Fields looked a lot better. He was going through his progressions rather quickly. He was decisive where he wanted to go with the football, and Luke Getsy actually ran some design plays for him to get out on the edge. So I thought it was a good play calling day for the OC, as well as the defense, who had 2 takeaways and 5 sacks as well.
Big day for the Bears. Now James is all locked into Chicago Bears football. I think the first couple weeks were pretty rough for our guy out there and in Chicagoland, but now he's back. He's back in it. Maybe Justin Fields is the hope. Gotta love a little Thursday night beatdown there. So we'll see. Look, I'm excited. I'm excited for the Bears. One of the first Thursday night games, I didn't watch the whole thing. I mean, I don't know who watches the whole Thursday night game, especially when it's the Bears Commanders. But I mean, I watched like 10 minutes of it. Probably more Thursday night football than I've seen all year. I just can't get into it. I don't really understand Thursday night football. I got too much else going on. I'm like a busy man here. Now I got to watch Amazon Prime on Thursday night, and it's like some game that just looks gross and ugly and sloppy. And of course, out here in Mississippi, my internet sucks. So, I mean, it's a lot better now. A shout out to TVI Fiber, really crushing the fiber optics out here in the middle of nowhere. So I do get better service, but I'm still scarred from last year when I had to use basically like a dish. And anytime the wind blew, it just cut out the game, or it would just say no. Like I would click on the game and it would just go, no, we're not going to stream this. It's too hard. It's too much. You can watch it on YouTube tomorrow. when you have better Wi-Fi, but you're not allowed to watch it now. So still a little scarred by that opportunity blown last year. But, listen, always fun to watch a little Thursday night football. Now we got the Sunday games, and we're going to start here with an interesting one. And we'll start with James. This is the Jaguars traveling up to Buffalo. I was pretty low on Buffalo last week. I told you guys they sucked, and then they beat Miami by 2 touchdowns. Jags are plus 5.5. Maybe the Jags suck too. Who knows? James, what do you see in this game? Do you like the Jags plus 5.5, or are you going with Buffalo?
I'm going with Buffalo, even though Jacksonville had the luxury of staying over in London for the second straight week. So, but the Bills defense ranked 6th overall in total yards, 4th against the pass, and they've held 2 of their 4 opposing quarterbacks to 125 yards or less. So I'm going to go with the Bills to cover in this one.
Nate, love the Jags last year, hate the Jags this year. 5.5 though, kind of a weird spread. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this one's tough for me. My sort of lean is Buffalo. I think. I mean, this is a natural letdown spot for them, having to travel against Jacksonville, who obviously gets a big travel advantage because they've already been there for a week. Actually played last Sunday in London as well. But I still just think Buffalo is just a significantly better team. I mean, they showed it last week when they just absolutely destroyed the Dolphins after everyone thought the Dolphins had the greatest offense in the history of football. So I mean, Buffalo's the best team in the NFL. I like them -5 here against like a pretty just average Jacksonville team.
Dad, you hate the Jags. You must love
Bills.
Buffalo here. Yeah.
Look, Bills, right? Look at this game against Miami, right? Miami goes in there and they scored 70 points. They're all the rage. Everybody's talking about their speed. They go to Buffalo and they get their asses kicked, right? Buffalo is a much better football team. And I've said this from the beginning in the NFL. Do not be afraid of laying the points if you think you've got the superior team. And look, I think the one edge that Jacksonville has, and I said this last week, is staying over in London for an extra week where the Bills have to fly there. I think that's an unfair advantage. I don't think the NFL should do that because I think it just really favors Jacksonville in this game. So that gives me pause, but 5.5, I like the Bills.
I mean, they're not traveling from San Francisco, but you've calmed down a little bit because last week you said there needed to be like a federal investigation on the scheduling decision by the NFL. Seems like this week you're a little bit, you've kind of maybe calmed down.
I think if Jacksonville wins this game, you really got to ask this question. Now, the counter argument for the NFL is, well, they're counting this as a Jacksonville home game, so it will be no different than Buffalo going to Jacksonville. Yeah, there's a big difference. It's a 7-hour flight. And you got to go across the country. You got to get a passport. You got to go all that stuff. You got to go through customs. It was just not that easy. And so I think it is an advantage for Jacksonville. I don't think the NFL should do this. I think you go there, you fly back, somebody else goes there and fly back. You want to play games there. You don't have some team stays there 2 games. And I tell you what, if the Titans lose this division by 1 game, I think they should file an investigation on this game because it pisses me off. Unfair advantage to the Jaguars. Hope they lose.
I'm not sure the Bills experience going through customs is the same as us when we travel abroad. I'm pretty sure. I mean, maybe they just go through customs like everybody else, but I can't imagine like trying to get into England and being like, oh, there's Stephon Diggs in line, but like get over to the side, Stephon Diggs. I'm sure they have. I'm sure customs is not the issue. I bet these guys like playing in London. I mean, it's a little bit of a new environment. They get to see something different. The time difference is weird, but it's not that big a deal. These guys are athletes. Like, they're professional athletes. They can figure it out. So I don't think it's that big of an advantage, but I understand why you think so because you hate the Jaguars. Okay, we're going to stay in the AFC, well, the NFC South and the AFC South, really. We're going to be talking Texans, Falcons. Nate, this game is a problem for you because you love the Texans and you love the Falcons. I don't know what you're going to do here. The Texans are plus 1.5-point dog. I don't know why. The Falcons suck. So is the wrong team favored?
This is probably not going to be a bet for me just because I am afraid this line feels just really fishy to me. This feels like it's just begging you to take just a scalding hot Texas team against a struggling Falcons team. Like, it doesn't look like the Falcons should be favored, but they are. So it's fishy for me. That being said, I love the Texans. I mean, I just like them as a team. They just keep looking better. CJ Stroud looks like the real deal. as soon as they're still getting healthy is the thing. It's like the offensive line is still not good. The defense still has some problems with injuries. As soon as they get healthy, the Texans are going to be a real problem because right now we're just starting to see how good they can be. So I guess I like the Texans here.
James, do you feel the same way? I mean, I definitely like the Texans here, but maybe you like the Falcons.
No, I'm going with the Texans as well. And like Nate said, I mean, the spread is kind of iffy. I feel that either spread is very plausible. Houston is 6-3 overall against the spread in their last 9, 4-1 in their last 5 road games, and 4-1 in their last week 5 games. So I'm going to go with Houston as well here.
Dad, you like the Birds because you hate all those AFC South
I
teams.
love the Dirty Birds in this game because I'm going counter public, right? Everybody, this is why when you go to Vegas and you stay in these hotels with these casinos in them and with the sports books in them, they're like 90 stories and they all make the money because schmucks lose at these casinos, right? This is everybody's betting the Texans here but me. Why is Atlanta favored? Right? They look like crap. Why are they favored? They're favored because they're gonna win this game. They're gonna go counter trend. I'm gonna go against the public money. If you just bet against the public money every single week, you are going to come out ahead at the end of the season because the public loses. So this makes no sense. This spread makes no sense. I'm going with Atlanta. As bad as they look, they're not that bad. And I think Houston's overrated. They had a couple good games. I'm going with the Dirty Birds at home minus the 1.5. Go Birds.
Yeah, look, Dad, you are right. I mean, the public money says Texans 61%, public bets Texans 63%. So there's no real money on the Falcons. This line opened at plus 3.5, I believe, and it was hammered down to plus 1.5. But this is the time when you catch the Texans. I think all the squares are like, oh, the Texans, they've sucked for years. And I think they win this game outright. But look, that's also because Atlanta has looked horrible. I don't understand why anyone would bet them. I mean, I understand they have a great running game. They're dynamic in the run game. Their defense is fine. It's been better this year than it was last year. But the Desmond Ridder is so bad. He misses every target. They can't trust him anymore. And just like in Chicago with Justin Fields, it's like, good luck. I mean, hike. Hope he doesn't throw an interception or throw it into the lake. I mean, it's so bad to watch some of these young quarterbacks. We don't have strong quarterbacks right now. And Nate, CJ Stroud is for real. This guy's going to be a real NFL quarterback for the Texans, and they're going to be a force in the future. All he has to do is figure a couple things out. This might not be their year to win the division, but I think that if you like them to win the division, that's probably fine because that division sucks too. So, I don't know. We'll see. But I like I'm going against the Falcons. Look, the Falcons are my team. I love them to death. I try to watch them every week when I can. Was not happy with the game in London. Now they host the Texans at home. So we'll see. Tough to play in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So, that could be an issue. Okay. Panthers, Lions. Here's an interesting game here. Panthers plus 9.5. I'm going to start with Nate again because Nate loves the big spreads. I mean, this is like on principle. I think, Nate, you and I kind of are in agreement. You get up past 9, I'm just taking the dog. But is this the right move here? Because the Lions, they've looked good.
I mean, I think so. I think that you have to take the Panthers plus 10 here. I mean, the Lions are clearly the better team, right? And John will say, well, better team cover spreads. And that's not true. I think that, this is just too many points. I mean, the Lions are good, and they've beaten some, kind of mediocre and bad teams this season. But I don't know. 10 just feels pretty rich. I mean, I have a hard time believing that the Panthers are like this helpless and will be this helpless like for the season. So, I kind of lean Panthers, I guess, if I had to bet it, but you can find other ways to spend your money on Sunday for sure.
I mean, we saw this happen with the Cowboys Cardinals. Big spread. All of a sudden, the Cardinals, not only that, they won the game. So if you had the money line, you cash in a big ticket. James, are the Panthers this helpless? I mean, the Lions aren't exactly world beaters. 9.5 is a lot of points.
Yeah, I agree. No matter the sport, I kind of cringe when I see this this big of a spread. I do like Detroit though. Their defense is ranked 4th in total yards and 1st against the rushing yards per game, allowing just 60 0.8. So I definitely like the trade, but I'm kind of definitely iffy on the large spread.
Dad, you are not afraid of a large spread. You want to lay the wood?
Oh yeah,
I mean, come on. What do you want to play it up? You want to play it up?
Oh, my
Lions are the
12.5?
better team. Tell us, John.
I mean, you guys are delusional. You know what? You guys look at the 9.5. It's like, oh, there's candy on the table. Let's go have some. Let's go take the 9.5. This team sucks, guys. They're not going to win this game. First of all, their coach is the worst coach of football, Frank Reich. The guy couldn't fix a light bulb as far as a coach. He's worse than the guy in San Diego or Chargers or whatever they're called. LA. He's worse than him. The Chargers are hey, Carolina's 0-4 for a reason. Guess what? They suck. Okay. Lions are going to win this game. I don't know, 8, 9, 10, 15. This is going to be a blowout. Carolina's just a lousy football team. I'm going with the Lions minus 9.5. I'm going to laugh my ass off at halftime.
Okay, well, but it does matter between 8, 9, and 10. If the spread is 9.5 and they win by 8, then we cover. So like that stuff just is, it's so maddening to hear you be like,
you guys don't get it because you guys are
what don't we
No,
do?
it's just because you're like willfully being
Look
ridiculous.
at, maybe they'll win by 9 and I'm going to catch it at 9.5. That's like a square bet. You guys are square. Now that I've understood, now that Nate taught me what square bet means, you guys are all square bettors, right? Plus 9.5 is a square bet. Lions are going to blow this team off. They're a better football team. They got better speed. They got a better defense. They got a better quarterback. They got a better offense. And they certainly have a better coach than Frank Reich, right? Who got ran out of Indy with good teams and couldn't do crap. And he's now got 4 masks on and gloves and everything else. Screw the Panthers. I'm going with Lions minus 9.5 blowout.
Yeah. They're going to backdoor cover and you're going to be mad. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like,
But he'll
like-
count as a
garbage
win
time.
for his record because they should have covered.
Yeah, that's right. That'll also happen. He'll be like, "Oh, check the ledger," and he'll be like, "Oh, well, they were gonna win, and then they backdoor covered, so I count it as a win." Come on, Dad. So let's talk about your favorite subject now. We'll go to the Titans. This is going to be a big ol' game here. Titans, Colts traveling up to Indy. Now, look, Dad, you called me yesterday. First thing out of your mouth after you talked about the Astros was, "I'm a little afraid of the Colts." Titans are a 2.5-point favorite traveling to Indianapolis. Everybody in that division is 2-2, I believe. So we'll start with you. Do you like the Titans at minus 2.5, or is this one of those rare situations where you actually take the opponent of your favorite team?
Zero chance of that. I'm going to lay the 2.5. But look, I mean, Indianapolis is a better football team than meets the eye. And this guy, AR-15, he's a pretty good athlete. So, but look, I told you all season, I told you since the preseason, our defense was elite. You guys laughed at me. Now you saw what happened last week where they crushed the Bengals. They got one of the best defensive lines in football. They're not going to run on them. They've got Christian Fulton back, so their cornerback situation is a little better than it's been. So I like their secondary. And look, Tannehill had a fantastic game last week, and so did Derrick Henry, and so did Spears. And I think this team is coming together. They get Petit Fair back on the offensive line. Everything could be coming together for them. Indy's going to be tough at home. This is not going to be an easy game, but I see the Titans winning here by maybe a touchdown, maybe a field goal. But look, everybody in this division is 2-2. This is a race to the middle, and there's no one standout team here, including the Texans, because we don't know, as Nate said, how good they are or how bad they are. We're going to find out. But coming off this game against Cincinnati, 27-3, I think that was a breakout game for Tennessee. It's the kind of game we thought it's the kind of team we thought they'd be, that they were last week. Let's see if it carries over this week in Indianapolis. Titans minus 2.5 is my pick.
James, I'm not so sure the Titans are an elite defense. They gave up 27 points to the Browns, but they did stop the Bengals, who I think have a host of their own problems. Do you like the Titans minus 2.5 here?
I do like the Titans, and a couple reasons why. Tennessee is 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 against Indy, and I think they have a 5-game winning streak as well. And they're 5-1 against the spread in road games versus Indy. I think we touched on Derrick Henry earlier in 14 career games against Indy. He has like 1,287 yards. He's topped 100-yard mark in 7 of those 14 games, including 6 of the last 7. So I think he's going to be a big factor in this game. As John mentioned, I'm going to go with the Titans.
Here's the other thing to throw in, Jack. Your brother came home, so he's home this weekend. So this is the first Titans game we're going to get to watch together because he doesn't have to be back in Morgantown until 6 o'clock. It's a 1 o'clock game. So just Joseph's presence with me watching this game, I got to add a field goal to that. That's why I like the Titans. You got to look at all the karma going on here. It's karma.
Yeah, all the karma. Nate, divisional game. Maybe you just take the 2.5. Titans got to go to Indy. I don't see this as a Titans win.
I think this is the Colts here. I mean, the Colts look, like an okay team. They're at least like kind of average. Sort of moving the football. On offense, they're okay on defense. The Titans just don't do a lot to scare me. I sort of like, how weird Anthony Richardson is a sort of prep thing for teams. And this just, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm always skeptical of a team coming off of a big win like the Titans are, with that big win against the Bengals. This feels like, everyone's, maybe the Titans are for real because they just thrashed the Bengals, and then maybe this is like where they kind of come back down to earth a little bit and lose to the Colts. So I like the Colts.
Naysayer.
Yeah, I like the Colts too. I think if you take the Colts,
see James, what I got to put up with, right? I got to put up with this crap every single week. Both my boys here pick against the Titans every week. Tell them I suck. That's why I brought their brother Joseph home from Morgantown for reinforcements, right? So at least we can even it out. But James, I go through this with them every single week on the show. They tell me how the Titans suck, how their defense isn't any good, how Tannehill's not any good, how Derrick Henry's over the hill, and if Sheriff Clark was here, it will be even worse, telling me they need to trade half the team. So this is what I have to put up with every single week. But I still come on, I put a good face on. Titans are going to win and shut all yous all up.
They're not.
Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, well, listen, I'm not a Braves fan, so, I wouldn't say Joseph's bringing home all the good karma, considering he switched his baseball allegiance a couple years ago when he saw one game in Atlanta. I guess we'll
bring
see,
that
but
up.
I'm glad he is a Titans fan. Look, Dad, if you're in Virginia and you're looking to have a little bit of fun, I don't think you could do worse than Rosie's Gaming Emporium. Tell us how people in Virginia can get involved with Rosie's.
You got to go to rosiesgaming.com. Look, guys, if you live in Virginia, here's what I love about Rosie's. First of all the football games are on, right? They got the biggest jackpots you're ever going to find anywhere because the takeout from the state is lower. They negotiated that in the General Assembly. So you get the biggest payouts, you get the biggest jackpots. Their slot machines are fun. It's just a fun place. The atmosphere is great. It's clean as a whistle. The service is tremendous. It is just the most fun I have is when I go to Rosie's. It's Ann and I's favorite place to go when we're in Virginia. Go to rosiesgaming.com. Plus, they got the sports book. They've got OTB racing. Let's go to rosiesgaming.com. And they got locations all through Virginia. Vinton and Roanoke, Collinswood by Danville. They got Emporia's coming online. They've got Dumfries in Northern Virginia, right? Big hotel going up there. Of course, they've got my favorite, Colonial Downs in New Kent. Then they got one right by our studio in Richmond, in South Richmond. They got Hampton. Wherever you are in Virginia, it's right there. Go to rosiegaming.com.
Look, live radio is a funny business here. You try to set up these live reads sometimes. What I meant is you couldn't do better than Rosie's. Not you couldn't do worse. We love Rosie's Gaming Emporium, but sometimes you're trying to set everybody up, and you're just like, okay, how do I what's the phrase here? And then you say something that you don't mean. Happens all the time. I couldn't imagine Dad being you and having to do this every day. It's just like what a skill it is. A week. To do this for 4 hours. I mean, so anyway. We love Rosie's. We love Rosie's, and we love Colonial Downs as well. They're one of our longest sponsors. So if you love the show too, check out Rosie's because they make this possible. Like they make the show possible. They make Godzilla Wins possible. They make everything possible here. They've been a longtime supporter, an absolute believer in our vision, what we want to do here of sort of combining great writers with sharp picks. I mean, that's what we want to do at Godzilla Wins. We really try to find some really incredible writers so that you can read something that is not just gibberish or not just like, pick, here's my model, here's my model, here's my model. James is an incredible example of that. And James, I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but I get comments and on your writing all the time. I mean, people who, read the site semi regularly will say, they'll say, who's this James Tillman guy? And I'll be like, oh, he's one of our writers. And they're like, man, he's just on the page, just line by line, such a good writer, so engaging. And his analysis is so sharp. And that's true of James. It's true of a lot of our writers there. So, James, that's absolutely true. I mean, I've heard that from many people. Actually, not only that, I heard that from Nate's dad, who reads some stuff here and there from our show, from our website. And we were down there in Texas, like in the summer. And he was one of those guys who's like, I really love James's NBA stuff. And this was back, in the summer when NBA was going on. And I was like, yeah, I mean, James is he's really incredible. Just very easy to read, but then also the analysis there. And that's really hard to do. So we always want to give you a shout out there. We love having you a part of our team. Yeah.
Well, listen, as long as you're on that topic, everybody go to GodzillaWins.com. And, the vision of this company when we started, it started as a blog. And Jack and Nate had the vision to turn this into something. And you guys have done a phenomenal job. Jack, as everybody knows, runs this thing. I can tribute a column once in a while. That's about it. But Jack, you've hired great writers. You put a super team together. Our sponsors, without them, we wouldn't be here. So, I mean, this is just an example of very talented people finding other talented people, getting together and building something from nothing. I mean, we had on Godzilla Wins last month, we've had over 100,000 page views, right? Like 120,000 page views. When we started, we had 1,000 back in when it was just a blog, basically. So you guys are building something really special, and I'm just honored to be a contributor to it. You guys keep up the super work. Go to GodzillaWins.com.
Yeah, look, Nate and I have been writers for a long time, and basically our vision here is to just have writers who enjoy writing for our website. I don't know how it's like writing for other sports websites. James could attest to that more than Nate and I could, but we just want to have an environment and a culture at the company where writers have their own voice, where they're comfortable writing and taking different different risks and doing different things and trying some stuff out, and just that they just enjoy writing for us. We don't want it to be a chore. Writing is a chore in and of itself. It's a very difficult thing to do every week. So that's kind of what we're here to do. So that's our vision. So let's talk a little Giants Dolphins, then we'll do Saints Pats and get into the afternoon games here. So we'll start Giants Dolphins. The Giants are plus 12.5. The Giants suck. I didn't realize that spread was so big.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
let's start with James. Let's start with James here. 12.5 spread. Do you like the Giants? I mean, I don't know.
When I saw this, I'm still thinking about the Monday night game. I mean, they gave up 11 sacks against Seattle. I mean, I was just like, that just looked like an absolute nightmare. And the sideline exchange between the head coach and Mac Jones, I mean, it just wasn't a good look for them all the way around. So, I mean, both of these teams are coming off losses. Miami's defense, as great as their offense has been, they're allowing 29.8 points per game. I believe Josh Allen posted a perfect passer rating against their defense. So neither team is great defensively, but I just think the Dolphins are better. I'm still 12.5. That's even worse than the last game that we had. So I don't like that too much, but yeah, I'm going with the Dolphins here.
Nate, what do you think? You like the Dolphins? I mean, geez, 12.5 is a lot, but the Giants just look so anemic.
I mean, if there was ever a time to buy low, it's got to be the Giants now, right? I mean, how much worse can it get? And if there's ever a spot for the offense to just show anything at all, it would probably be against a defense as bad as Miami's. So, I mean, it's not pretty, but I think that this has to be like the Giants. I mean, you have to bet on the Giants here, I think. I mean, I think the over is probably also a fairly good play because I'm not sure either of these defenses are good. But if there was ever a chance for the Giants to just sort of like score at least some points, it's got to be here. Otherwise, this might be over before it even really got started. The Giants aren't good. They've looked horrible. If they're ever going to show up, it has to be soon. Maybe it'll be this week. I mean, I would. It has to be the Giants here for me. I'm not comfortable laying this many points with a defense as bad as Miami's.
Dad, 30 seconds. I know you like the Dolphins.
This is a clown show. This team, and you know what? All this Brian Daboll, what a great coach he is. Remember they won a couple games last season, and they were all anointing him as NFL Coach of the Year, and all this Giants is, and Daniel Jones that, and Daniel Jones run for. This team sucks. I mean, they are so bad. I mean, tell me, you look at that game. What was that, Monday night? What was that game against Seattle? I mean, they're pathetic. I'd love to see them play Frank Reich's team and see what happens there, right? It's a 0-0 going into overtime. It's the worst team of football. Look, Dolphins went to Buffalo. They got smacked. They got down to earth. Who the hell's going to stop them? The Giants going to stop this team? They'll put another 50 on them. 12.5's a laughing stock. Dolphins, 15, 20, doesn't matter. They're going to cover the spread. They're going to score 50 points. Forget the Giants. This team is really bad. They got some real issues going on. And it all started when they screwed the running back, right? They wouldn't give him the money. They wouldn't do this. They wouldn't do that. Then he was not in camp. It's just bad juju. Bad juju, man. It's bad culture, right? Pay the guy the money. He's your running back. Get your team together. Get everybody getting in the locker room. Instead, you try to screw the guy for, couple of $1 million. I mean, they play in this huge stadium. You got all the money. Bunch of jerks. Screw the Giants. I'm going with the fish, baby.
Yeah, so
culture matters.
Yeah, culture matters. Great.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'd probably take the Giants plus 12.5. It's too big of a spread. Dolphins didn't look that good last week, but we'll see.
Obviously, you don't like money.
No, not really.
You like contributing it to DraftKings, fine.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's true. I actually don't like money that much. I'm not a huge fan of it. So Saints at Pats here. It's another game I'm not a huge fan of, and I'm going to have to watch it because I don't have any money. I can't afford Sunday tickets, so I have to watch the local games, which means I have to watch the Titans every week because they're in my market. That's horrible. And then I have to watch the Saints every week, which was okay, and now is not so much okay. And I don't want to watch the Patriots.
God works in strange ways that you are forced to watch the Titans every week. See? The big guys doing the right thing.
Yeah. So the Saints are +1. Saints at Pats. Saints are +1 here. We'll start with James. I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. Both these teams look pretty bad. I think the Saints, if their Carr is healthy, win this game outright pretty easily. But without Derek Carr, can't really bet on anybody else. So what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know how much of this game I'll watch either, but both teams have a difficult time struggling. I think in their combined 8 games, they've both put up 20 points only once. So they rank near the bottom of the league in scoring. New England in this has been pretty bad against the spread. 1-7 in their last 8 overall, 0-5 in their last 5 home games. And New Orleans is actually 8-3 against the spread in their last 11 matchups against New England. So I am going to go with the Saints here and to cover. I think they're capable of covering a point or a point and a half here.
Yeah, Nate, I kind of agree here. I think the Saints probably cover this game. And Patriots have looked really bad.
The Patriots have looked bad. And, the Saints don't look good either, though. The Saints got beat by Tampa. Obviously the Patriots looked horrible against Dallas. But, I mean, this is still Belichick, right? And the trends are just, so gaudy, for him, especially coming off a loss. If he's ever gotten blown out by 21 or more, he's 12-1 against the spread the next week. He's 64% against the spread in games of a spread or 3 or less, just generally. But those are all Tom Brady numbers, and we're still trying to learn what these Belichick trends are now. But I still like the home team. I guess both these teams are bad. I'll just pick the home team as a short favorite. They're -1, -105. I'll just take that. I'll be the dissenter. Take the Pats.
I think Dad likes the Pats.
Listen, I'm not going to bet on Bill Belichick going 1-4. I'm not going to bet against Bill Belichick after getting embarrassed in a couple games, coming home and losing again to a team without a quarterback, a pedestrian quarterback. I'm just and if Carr comes back, he's been out 2 or 3 weeks. So I mean, the Saints are not that good. I mean, the Patriots to come home and get beat by New Orleans and go 1-4 is probably going to be the lowest point in Bill Belichick's New England career. I just don't see it happening. I think it's going to get this team fired up. I think you're going to see an inspired game here from New England, and I like the Pats. I think they're what, -1 or +1 or something. But I just bet the
-1.
Pats. Yeah, I did lay the 1 with the Pats. You just got to ask yourself: Are you going to on Sunday afternoon? Is New England going to be 1-4 under Bill Belichick after getting embarrassed 2 weeks in a row? I don't think so. I'm going with the Pats.
Okay. So those are pretty much the afternoon games. I think those are all the afternoon. There might be one more on the schedule here. We want to thank James Tillman III for joining us for this half hour. Always great to catch up with him. Thanks so much. You can find him on Twitter at TillJam3. And you can catch all of his Bears coverage on GodzillaWins.com. Go to GodzillaWins.com. The recap is up right now from the Thursday night game. So any Bears fans in the building or anyone interested in Bears coverage, go read James's amazing pieces. Thank you, James, so much. And
have a great weekend, guys.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks, James.
So we're gonna be joined now for the last half hour with resident Orioles fan here, getting ready for the playoffs. There he is, Darian Kelly from the Jersey Sports Blog. He's got to be just absolutely locked in here, joining the show with a ton of Astros fans. Darian, before we get to the games, which we can run through pretty quickly, just a couple minutes. We talked about the MLB earlier. We don't want to get into it too much, Dad, but I want your take on the Orioles Rangers series, Darian. I mean, are you nervous about the Rangers, or is this something that you think the O's are just gonna blow through them?
I don't think they're gonna blow through them. But I do think it's gonna be a competition between who has the better offenses. I think that the Rangers have one of the worst bullpens, and I like that advantage for us. I think that we're doing well swinging the bats, and I think I'll take that advantage. The fact that the Rangers, pitching is not as good, and I think you need great pitching to go far. In the playoffs, granted, we lost King Felix. That was a crushing blow, to lose our closer. But I like our odds in this game because I don't think the Rangers can kind of keep up on the pitching front. So yeah, I'm going O's all the way.
Anyone in the American League you're scared of?
I mean, obviously the Astros, right? I mean, they've been there, done that. And I think that's gonna ultimately be, the pennant battle is gonna be between the O's and the Astros, and we'll see where things lie. But yeah, that's my only concern is the Astros at this point.
I'd be concerned about the Astros too. If we get there, if the O's and the Astros in the ALCS, we definitely will. We'll have you on. We'll do a whole segment. We'll scrap some of the college football and do a little baseball. Just have a little fun with it. Yeah. Should be a lot of fun. Going to be an interesting playoffs. We're all very excited. MLB playoffs, nothing really like it. But let's get to the NFL.
Let me say, Darian, are you gonna go to the game? Are you gonna, if it's Astros O's, are you gonna go to any of the games in Camden Yards?
Yes, so if I don't make it to Camden Yards, I'm already based down here in Houston, so it'll be nothing for me to pop up down at Minute Maid and catch the game. I got to support my guys either way. It's been too long, and it's as a Baltimore guy, the Orioles are a part of us, so I got to support my guys.
Well, we're going to Minute Maid. We made a pact after I took Joe and Jack to Atlanta with Ann. Ann and I made a pact. We don't go to road games now. I went to Washington. I went to, I guess, Atlanta,
Boston,
and then
the ALCS.
Yeah, we just no road games. So maybe we'll see each other in Houston. But we're going to save our money for the World Series. But look, good luck. Hope things work out.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Nate thinks the Twins might make a deep run. We'll see.
Yeah, man.
Nate's all in on the Twins. I mean, the Twins are pretty good.
Laugh
So, you know,
now.
yeah, we'll see.
Clown
Nate,
show.
Nate sometimes catches fire with some of this stuff, but a lot of people were on the Twins last year and they got bounced early. So, okay, let's talk a little football. We're gonna have to go fast. That's fine. I mean, we always want to talk a little baseball when Darian's here with the O's, but we're gonna have to go really quickly through some of these games. So let's start with Ravens Steelers. Just 30 seconds. We'll go around the horn. Start with Darian. Ravens are a -4.5 favorite over the Steelers, who have looked, mercurial at times, mostly bad. Ravens look pretty good, I think. Darian, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the Ravens will win this game, but I think the Steelers will cover. Just because you look at the Steelers' record, against as underdogs. I like Tomlin. I don't think the Ravens, even though they're good, I'm not impressed with the games that they've won so far. I think this is going to be a old-fashioned AFC North, slugfest. It'll be a tight game, but I like the Ravens. But I don't think that I think I'll take the points, but the Ravens to win.
Nate, divisional game. I don't know. 4.5's a weird. I love the Ravens. I just think they're so good. I think they're really going to start to trend upward. Maybe you like the Steelers too, though.
Dude, just auto bet for the Steelers for me. Tomlin underdog spot. I mean, this is my biggest bet of the week. I mean, in this rivalry, Steelers own the Ravens. They won 5 of the last 6. The underdogs covered 11 in a row. And when Tomlin and John Harbaugh face each other in their career in this rivalry, the underdog is 22-5-3 against the spread. So I take the underdog here. That's just a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, it seems like a no-brainer, Dad. I still like the Ravens.
I live in Pittsburgh now, so By the way, if you're a fan of our radio show in Pittsburgh, October 10th, that's Tuesday, where we pick up the Pittsburgh Penguins. So if you're a Penguins fan and you're on any of our radio stations in Pittsburgh or our app, you'll be able to hear the Penguins. And I understand in Pittsburgh, you got to be a Penguins fan. I don't see the Steelers losing this game. I love them. Minus plus 4.5. Tomlin as an underdog, everybody knows how great he is. And look, the Steelers are up and down, right? This is going to be a very tough one of those divisional games, are very tough. Somebody wins it by a field goal. I like Pittsburgh plus 4.5.
So, okay, I like the Ravens. I'm just going to stick with that. I don't think the Tomlin underdog trend is going to hold up post Ben Roethlisberger the farther we get, but I do understand this is a rivalry game. So, we'll see. Baltimore's got to travel to Pittsburgh. It'll be tough. Let's go to the Bengals here, who have looked pretty rough lately as well. Bengals travel to Arizona. Maybe Arizona can spoil another season here. Bengals are -3. -3. Wow. Darian, what do you think? You like the Bengals -3? I mean, if the Cardinals really suck, -3 is a gift.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bengals here -3. Look, I think that, this is a crucial game. The season is really on the line, for the Bengals, right? I can't envision them going, 1-4. And I don't really trust the Cardinals late, right? The Cardinals are deep last in the league in some of the key categories on defense, specifically late in the fourth quarter. Burrow is actually really good in the fourth quarter, despite the injury. I don't know how 100% or how healthy Burrow is, but if I get 75% of Burrow, I'm taking him over the Cardinals.
Dad, I don't know. You must love the Bengals -3.
No, I love the Cardinals.
Oh,
And here's why. Listen, in all honesty, there's something. I mean, Burrow's calf injury, it has really affected his mobility. Not only Darian, his mobility, it's affecting his ability to throw the ball in the run, throw the ball going out of the pocket. He can't get anything under it. I mean, the Titans were all over him last week, and they really exploited that. And so, until this guy is healthy, but coupled with the fact that, the Bengals just, sometimes you got to say, well, maybe they're just not that good. I mean, maybe the Cardinals are a little bit better than we thought. They had some competitive games here. So Phoenix at home +3. Bengals a lot of pressure on them to win this game. Cardinals are loose. They have no quarterback. No one cares about them. Their culture sucks. But let's see what happens. I'm going to take the 3 in the desert.
I love thinking that the team is loose because they don't have a quarterback. I've never been around a football team that's like, hey, this is fun.
Yeah,
Nobody can
basically,
throw the ball.
when you suck, you don't care, right?
No, you do
and
care.
they
You
were
do
supposed
care,
to suck.
especially when you're
But
professional athletes. They're not losing.
The difference is the Giants were supposed to be a playoff team. They look like crap, so they're tight and they're pressing. No, nobody expected the Cardinals to win 4 games. All of a sudden, they beat Dallas on an afternoon game on national TV with a quarterback that got cut by the Titans.
No
They got
team
off
is
the street.
loose when they don't have a quarterback. Nate, go ahead.
This is less a bet on what these teams have looked like so far in the season. I mean, there's a fair argument to be made that Joe Burrow is the worst quarterback in the NFL so far this season. And there's a fair argument to be made that the Cardinals are actually like a pretty decent team. They've looked the part, at least, better than we thought they would be anyways. But for me, it comes down to, I remember when the Bengals started slow last year, and we thought, oh, sky is falling in Cincinnati. And then they, rallied hard at the end of the season, made the playoffs, blah, blah. If there was ever a spot they need to rally, it's right now. I mean, they can't go to 1-4. It just feels like they find a way to win here. This is probably the last time I'll be a Cardinal or a Bengals believer. If they lose here, then I'm done with them for the season. But I'll give them one more shot. I think Bengals win and cover.
Yeah, I think Bengals here as well. Okay, Eagles going out to LA. Look, 2 weeks ago, I sat here and said best bet of the week. Rams, Monday Night Football +2. They're world beaters. Then they failed to cover. Now I'm mad at them because they made me look stupid. So Eagles going out to Los Angeles here. Tough place to play. We all know how hard it is to go out to Los Angeles and play in front of 12 fans. Eagles are -4 here. So, Darian, what do you think? I mean, I don't know. I still think the Rams are pretty good, but the Eagles are the Eagles. So you like the -4?
Yeah, I love the -4. I love the Eagles in this matchup. I think that we're really going to see the impact specifically in the trenches, right? The Eagles have, if I'm not mistaken, one of the top, if not the top rush defenses, right? So you can't really run the ball on the Eagles. And the Rams O-line right now is very suspect. I don't think they're going to hold up. And look, Jalen Hurts, I mean, he's a winner, right? I think that, for him, you know what you're going to get out of Jalen Hurts consistently, right? 22-1. I think that this is a no-brainer. I think the Eagles have the better roster. I like the Eagles in this matchup.
Nate, you got to love the Eagles. You're an Eagles guy.
I do like the Eagles here. They're just a better team. I think that, the Rams have been fun, but they have real defensive problems. I think the Eagles are going to get their offense really rolling soon, and it could start here. I like the Eagles.
Dad, 30 seconds. Eagles, Rams.
Fly, Eagles, fly. Lay the 4.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there. Okay, Jets, Broncos. Oh, here we go. Now we got a game we can really talk about. Got to spend some time here. Jets are +2.5. Going to Denver. 2 teams. I mean, we could have just left this off the schedule. Jeez. We'll start with Dad. He loves the Jets. Big Jets fan, always has been. They're 2.5. What do you think? You want to take the points? I mean, God, the Broncos.
Denver should be 0-4. They never should have won that game against the Bears. Bears just let down. Everything fell apart in the second half. Look, Sean Payton, the whole thing's overrated. He's now the Kevin Cash of Major League Baseball. He thinks he invented offense, defense. He's like the best coach ever. The team sucks. Okay, forget Wilson. The Jets, their defense is elite. You saw it again last week, right? And Zach Wilson had a decent game. I mean, I can't go with this guy, but he had a decent game. The problem with the Jets is they got to go with this guy. They got to figure this out. But that defense, man, it is one of the best in football, and you got to get on all cylinders. I don't think Wilson's going to be able to move the ball much on this team. So I'm going to go with the Jets here for the win outright in Denver.
Darian, what do you think? You like the Jets money line?
Yeah, it's so hard. It's so hard for me to go either way. The Broncos defense is atrocious. I don't really trust Zach Wilson, even though he had a great performance. I do agree, with John about the Jets defense. I gotta lean Broncos just because the quarterback play at the end of the day. It's like I don't know what I'm gonna get with Zach Wilson. I know Russell Wilson hasn't been the best, but I'm gonna lean towards him. I like the Broncos in this matchup.
Yeah, Nate, I don't think you can trust Zach Wilson ever. I mean, he just can't do it. I mean, and we are all trying to make it work. Like, we watch him play, and even the announcers will be like, well, that was pretty good when he completes a pass.
Yeah, right.
Like they honestly do that, and they'll be like,
Yeah,
oh,
that's
okay,
true.
like okay, so he hit that guy in the numbers, and then the next play they'll be like, oh yeah, well, so that was a bad read because there were 6 guys open and he threw to the guy who was double covered. Or ooh yeah, he threw an interception there, and then he'll throw like a screen pass. And they'll be like, well, okay, that was good. So like we're all hoping he can be good, but he might be the worst quarterback I've ever seen. So what do you think?
I don't want to pick a side in this game because I think both these teams are bad. I think the under is probably a better bet, to be honest. The Jets have a good defense. They're not going to let Russell Wilson just go totally nuts. I'm having a hard time. As bad as the Broncos defense have played, I'm just having a really hard time understanding it because their roster doesn't look that much different than last year's unit, which was really good. And I'm having a hard time understanding the regression. So I still think that Denver has a defense somewhere, even if they haven't shown it yet. So I like the under here. I just can't imagine that either team goes crazy scoring.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. It's probably going to just be a horrible offensive game. But I don't know. I mean, the Broncos defense is so bad. So, okay, let's go to Chiefs Vikings here back on schedule so we can breathe for a minute on some of these games. Our saucy game of the week is the Cowboys Niners. That's coming up here in a minute. Chiefs at Vikings. Chiefs minus 3.5. The Taylor Swift show is on. Chiefs are looking good, although they didn't look that great last week, actually. So Chiefs minus 3.5, traveling to Minnesota. Nobody likes Minnesota here. So we'll start with Darian. Can the Vikings actually cover or win a game, or is this just another blowout?
I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I do like the Chiefs, particularly in this game. I just feel like it's hard to really, bet against them. Look, the defense is really looking good for the Chiefs. Offensively, I think that they're missing, that. I was listening to Bear Betts, and there's a take, I forgot who it was, but they're missing that intermediate receiver, so to speak. And I think that's the only thing that's hindering them. But I still think that the Chiefs will get it done against Minnesota. I mean, I don't really like their defense as well. I'm taking the Chiefs here.
Yeah, I mean, if you isolate Travis Kelce and double him, the Chiefs don't necessarily have someone who they can throw to, and that's been a problem for them. Mahomes threw a bunch of picks last week. He didn't look that good. Nate, can you lay the 3.5?
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to. I think I'd probably just play the over here. To be honest with you, Kirk Cousins has like the most hilarious game script when they're kind of like an underdog or when they're playing a good team, and he just throws for 1 billion yards and just getting weird shootouts. So I'd be more inclined to take the 3.5 just because I don't think that either team is going to have that much trouble scoring. But I think that playing the over is probably a better way to play I think this game is going to play out.
Dad, I know you're not a Vikings fan. You must like the Chiefs minus 3.5.
I'm going to lay the 3.5, and I'll tell you why. The Vikings are not the Vikings are lucky they have a win. Okay, this is another team that there's just something wrong with this club. Last season they won all these close games. Now they're losing them. Their defense can't stop anybody when they need to. They just can't come up with a big play. And the Chiefs are the Chiefs. In last week's Monday night game, Chiefs were 9.5. I bet them. I lost, but I got a lot of respect for Mahomes, and I'll tell you why. Minute and 24 to go. He's got the ball on the 3-yard line. He could have went in for the touchdown, covered the spread. He did the absolute right thing. Jets were out of timeouts. He slid. He ran out the clock. This is a class team, unlike the Penn State coach who is a douchebag trying to cover lines. He did the right thing. This is just a class act of a team. And the problem with Minnesota is you can't trust them. I think Kansas City minus the 3.5 is a good bet. I'm going to go with them.
Penn State has a bye week, and Dad still figures out a way to complain about a game that happened like in August. So there's always
my throat like a chicken bone.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, so let's go to the saucy game of the week, Dad. This is brought to you by Red State BBQ. You can go to redstatebbq.com, shop their barbecue sauces, their rubs, all that stuff. Godzilla 10 is the promo code Godzilla, and then 10 get you 10% off on redstatebbq.com. We love their sauce. We love everything they do for us here, and this is our saucy game of the week. Look, this is a heck of a game. We got the Cowboys, I believe, are traveling to San Francisco. They're a +3.5 favorite. Obviously, the loss against the Arizona Cardinals was rough for them, but they're still a really good football team. I don't know if 49ers are just going to blow them out. Dad, we'll start with you. I mean, you're a big Cowboys believer. You like the Cowboys. Is this a time when they can cover the spread?
Yeah, I think they're going to the Super Bowl. I think they're that good of a team. This is our saucy game of the week. I love. Here's my two favorites: Kentucky Small Batch right here, and Memphis Sweet. This look. If you're going to be tailgating this week, grill, I get hamburgers, steak, hot dogs, chicken, brisket. This stuff is going to change the way you look at your meats. It is so good. Fact, Jack said he put it on sweet potatoes. I put the Kentucky Small Batch yesterday on Joe's rice. It was this stuff is just fantastic. All you got to do is go to redstatebbq.com, redstatebbq.com. Promo code Godzilla10. You're going to get 10% off. These guys are sponsors of our show. Look, we wouldn't be here without them, but these are really great people. All they do is they sell it online, and they have a little side place off the road where they sell this. It's the best barbecue you're ever going to have. Go to redstatebbq.com. Support our sponsor, and you're going to be loving it. redstatebbq.com. Promo code Godzilla10. Cowboys,
yeah, they have a restaurant. They have a restaurant in Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, they got one location. This is just small business owners, and they love our show. They love football, and you're going to be having. Look, I put them on. I put them on hot dogs. That's how much I love this stuff. So we're going to be grilling. Joe's going to be cooking. I haven't cooked in 30 years, so Joe's here to cook, and we're going to have a good time with our redstatebbq.com. Now, I think the Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl. Look. No, I'm not taking anything away from San Francisco, right? This is a key game. Everybody's pointing to the game. Everybody's going to be watching it. This is going to be a very tough game. I love this Cowboys defense. I love the way Dak Prescott has come out this season. They run the football. This is a complete team. Yeah, they went to Arizona. They overlooked them. It happens in football. You're not going to go 17-0. 17-0. It's not going to happen. But I'm going to take the 3.5 here with the boys.
Darian, no surprise that my dad eats a lot of hot dogs here. So Cowboys +3.5. What do you think?
I think the play here is definitely going to be the under. Look, these are two of the best defenses in the league. I do think that I like the 49ers offense a little bit better than the Cowboys. I just don't trust Dak where it counts, specifically in the red zone. And so I'm leaning towards the under here, but I really like the Niners in this matchup. You know, I think that they have the edge more offensively than the Cowboys when it counts. So I'm going Niners.
Nate, someone's wondering if you're drinking a beer on
a Celsius.
Yeah. I told him you've been doing sober October, so no beers at 5 a.m. for you. But
no.
We've certainly been in a situation where they may have been appropriate at times, just not right now. What do you think? Cowboys +3.5?
I agree with Darian. I think the under feels like a safer play. I mean, the last two times that these two teams have played each other, it's been in the playoffs. Niners won 19-12 the first time, 23-17 the second time, or the first time, and then 19-12 last season. So my thought is that neither of these games have reached 45. This game probably doesn't either. It feels low scoring. So that's where my first initial lean is. But I agree with John, too. I think that the Cowboys are a legit NFC contender. I think they're a legit Super Bowl team this year, and I don't normally think that. So, you know, if the Cowboys are going to show me something, it has to be now. But neither of these teams have played anyone, so who knows how good they actually are. You know, this will be a big test for both.
Look, here we come to the Monday night game. We got about 30 seconds each for this. Packers +2.5 traveling to Las Vegas to play the Raiders. I love the Packers here. I don't see how the Raiders win this game. They don't ever win games, especially on TV, like a national spotlight. They always just blow up in everyone's face. So, Darren, we'll start with you. You like the Packers at +2.5, or are you buying Vegas?
I'm loving the Packers here. I just think that, you know, the Raiders situation right now, specifically at quarterback, is, you know, it's a bit tumultuous. We don't know what's going on with Jimmy G, concussion protocol. We might get a rookie, you know, starting out there. I think that the Packers are starting to come around a little bit. They had some struggles early on, but I'm starting to become a little bit of a believer in Jordan Love specifically, given the way that he's played.
Ooh, looks like Darian cut out here for a minute. I'm sure he'll be back on. But listen, Nate, no narrative. Give me your pick.
Packers. Raiders.
Dad, no narrative. Give me your pick.
Vegas plus 2.5. Packers most overrated team of football.
Look, we want to thank James Tillman III for coming on for our hour. We want to thank Darian, who we just lost there, but looks like he loves the Packers as well. We can find Darian on his Twitter handle, which I will post later because it was on his screen, but it's escaping me now. So Darian, you can find him at the Jersey Sports Blog as well, and of course Dan Angel III or Dan Angel. So that is our show. We'll be here next week. DK Sports 410 at DK Sports 410 for Darian. There, we'll be here next week at the same time, talking college football, NFL, all of our favorite sports here. Thanks for tuning in. You're with Steve Bannon in the War Room next.